People are coming.
So we've got the amazing Dr. Glenna Crooks from Philadelphia with us today.
Oh,
amazing to see her.
So who else have we got? Come on, don't be shy. Let's get the chat going. Let's see who you are, why you're here, what questions you want answered. We're all going to be online talking to each other very shortly. Great, great, great.
And we have Sally from the Philippines.
Oh, great. Welcome, Sally. Welcome, welcome, and welcome, Dr. Glenna.
And I'm not going to call out the other people because we don't have direct contact with them. I haven't asked their permission to disclose them to the Wintrade Global Tribe, but I'm sure they're going to be networking away as well. Oh, amazing. We've got Susie from the UK with us. Always wonderful to see Susie. Brilliant.
Brilliant, brilliant. All right, well, look, we've had 5 minutes welcoming everybody. I think for those of you who don't know Wintrade Global, you don't know who we are and what we do, we will shortly play you a Wintrade Global members video. But just for those of you who are here and do know about us, please make sure you join in, ask your questions, come on the camera. You know how we do it. You know how we do it here. So Wintrade Global, do we have the full video that talks about Wintrade Global, or do we just have the members video?
We have the members video.
Okay. All right, so let's start with the members video, and so we can get going with introduction to the panel and get moving on it. So let's play the Wintrade Global members video. Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that video. I know some of you have seen it before, but for those of you who haven't seen it before, it gives you a little bit of background about who we are, what we do, why we do it, what our passion is, and how we're going to help women to run the world, right? Trade women run the world. So, as I said earlier, we've got an amazing panel of experts in their own right, in their own industry arena. I will start by introducing Philip. Philip, if you can just put your microphone on.
Yes,
great, fantastic. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you very much for helping WinTrade Global with our LinkedIn. Now, for those of you who have seen my LinkedIn skyrocket in the last month to 6 weeks, this is the genius behind it. And I'm being very generous with you because I'm sharing Philip with our tribe. He's an amazing young man. He's got great expertise in this area, but let me not promote you. If you can just give us like 2 minutes about you, what you do, and how you're helping WinTrade, actually, it would be amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. No, thank you, Yvonne and WinTrade, for allowing me to be here. It's great to talk to you all. So yeah, I'm Philip. I'm the founder and CEO of a personal branding agency called Hotseat, and our purpose is essentially to help build the visibility and credibility of founders, executives, and CEOs in their industries. I think it's really important as we're moving into this digital space and digital world to understand that the visibility of being shown in front of who your target audience is, and of course bringing credibility and thought leadership and authority in this modern world is really, really important. So yeah, I've been working with WinTrade for a couple of months now, just helping build their presence in Yvonne's LinkedIn. So I guess if you check out Yvonne's LinkedIn, that kind of shows off my work. But we're working with an array of founders and CEOs, from marketing to sales, technology, SaaS companies. We work with small companies that are, one-man bands, all the way down to companies that are raising millions of pounds in funding. So there's a big range, and my big saying is that anyone can start building their personal brand today. It doesn't even matter if you are just starting out or you're looking to really scale. Personal branding is a really important skill and area everyone should invest in.
Thank you, Philip. He's been very understated there, but you're going to hear a bit more because I will ask him some questions that really brings out who he is and what he does and what he's done and what he did to attract me to him. So we'll tell you that story very soon. Let's move on to Brian. Brian, can you unmute yourself?
Yes. Good morning, everybody. It's only British Standard Time. Good to be involved. I'm Brian. I've come from a corporate background, having grown out of KPMG and sort of really been passionate about all things business. And over the last few years, I've migrated into the world of startups and early stage businesses. And really, I found my personal passion around helping founders to just launch and let free the creativity and the ideas that we see as consultants for early stage companies. So a lot of the passion around what we're doing currently with Funded, it's a company that I've co-founded with a partner, Alex, here in the UK, is we spend so many years together, Alex more on the product development side, and then myself on building out financial and commercial models for early stage businesses, is we just see that ideas are generally evenly distributed. And, I certainly come from an environment, having been raised in South Africa, where there's no shortage of high quality ideas in many of the underrepresented groups. And certainly today, specifically women groups who are generally don't have equal access to the kinds of capital and the kinds of networks that historically the sort of privilege or the advantage groups have, but they still carry without question equally strong and equally innovative ideas. So it applies very firmly to this particular WinTrade cohort, where we're focusing specifically on female founders and women in business. But our remit really is sort of in an underserved and underrepresented angle, where we truly believe that ideas are distributed evenly, but the access to the knowledge, which is not proprietary knowledge, and it certainly isn't complex. It isn't the kind of knowledge that is exclusive to a very, very select portion of the population. We can all learn how to build a successful business. And our passion and our mandate is really to help those without the access to know what to do and how to do it, to gain access to it in the most cost-effective and commercially viable way. Because currently the commercial models do exclude a lot of these folks from participating and letting their creative energy out into the world.
And again, I think my panelists are being very, what's the word? I'm going to go back and say understated, because Brian and his partner Alex have built an amazing platform where you literally go in one end, either as a startup, a complete startup, or even if you're already along the way, takes you through step by step how to do things properly in business, where by the end of the course that you do, you are ready. You're investable. Is that the right?
Thank you, Ron.
Yeah,
Thank
you're investable, and not only are you investable, Brian and Alex have got investors and venture capitalists who will look at your work and you can pitch to them. But again, you can tell us a bit more about that later. Before I move on to me, I think most of you will know Sydney. Sydney's the Wintrade Global Membership Director. She's joined Wintrade during the lockdown and turned everything upside down. She's responsible for the fantastic video you've just seen. She's responsible for the fantastic website, leading the team to make us more investable, I hope, Brian, because we as Wintrade, we are going through that process. Don't think we'll put you through anything we've not been through. So we go through it, we have the lived experience of it, and which is why we feel safe to introduce it to our members. But let me shut up about everybody else and hand you over to Sydney.
Thank you. Thanks so much. So my name's Sydney Thompson. I'm based in Germany, and I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years in Germany, serving over 100 of the top German companies. I've had about 2,000 clients here, and it's been an amazing experience, but I never really considered myself an entrepreneur. And that boils down to my mindset, which I'll talk about more later. It was only actually when I stepped into the role of membership director for Wintrade Global that I truly started to get a grip with my imposter syndrome, step up to the plate and fully embody the entrepreneurial spirit and experience. And we now give mindset training to Wintrade Global members on a weekly basis, although it's paused right now, but it'll be starting back up again soon. As I've worked with over 2,000 people in Germany and had contact with over 1,000 women entrepreneurs around the world, there's a lot I've started to learn about the brain hacks, basically, that women entrepreneurs should be using more of in order to gain their success. And that's my story.
Fantastic. And she'll be sharing more of that and what she did to get to where she is now. So last but not least, save the best for last, right? Come on, you're all supposed to
always. They're on mute.
So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Yvonne Thompson. I've been running a Women in Business network for 25 years. I've been an entrepreneur myself for 40 years, or close to 40 years. And throughout that time, I've supported thousands of women globally. I've spoken to hundreds of corporates globally, including this year, I've been to Oslo, Oman, and I'm planning to go back to, or there is an invite waiting for me to go to Dubai and Oman again later in the year. But it's been a phenomenal journey. Mine is one of passion. And I really believe that in order for you to get the best out of your business, you cannot just do it for profit. You cannot just do it for the money. You've got to do it for the passion. And one of my sayings is, Passion keeps me up late at night, and many of you know that because I send you emails at ridiculous times of the day. And passion wakes me up early in the morning, and most of you know that I'm at my computer by 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And the third part of that saying is that sleep gets in the way. If I could manage without sleep, I would just keep going, but we all know what that leads to. So without further ado, I know you don't want to hear more about me, you want to hear about or hear from our phenomenal panel. We're going to start with a little discussion. I think there are already some questions in the chat box. Can we just say, so the questions don't get lost, can you put the questions in the Q&A? Because then it's easier for us to pick out amongst the chat. And what we will do, we will ensure that we bring everybody that's got a question, because that's what you're here for. If you've got a question and you're willing to come on camera, then we'll bring you on camera. If not, we will answer your question in the Q&As.
And Yvonne, just for those of us that are new to the platform, the Q&A is the third icon from the left at the top right-hand side of your screen. So you'll see 2 speech bubbles with Q&A, and that's where you can put all your questions in. And please don't be shy. It's so important to really use these amazing experts that we've got here today and you know, pick their brains as much as you can. Great. I'll stop interrupting you, Yvonne.
But as they say, there are no silly questions, or you know, no question is too small to answer, because there's probably others sitting there waiting to ask the very same question. Okay, I'm going to read this one out from the chat box. There is Antoinetta. Antoinetta is in the art sector. She's a painter. Do we want to have a general conversation first, or should we go straight into the Q&As? How do you want to? I think we should go straight into the Q&As, because that's what they've come for, right?
Okay, and we can always wrap up or bring those general questions in mid-stage. So I'll show Antoinetta's question. Is this the question?
Yeah, I would love to hear more about how you can focus on specific ideas or goals when you have lots of ideas you want to pursue. Antoinetta's from London. So should we invite, would you like to come on stage, Antoinetta?
I'll invite her in case she'd like to. And she can't come up on stage. She's joining from a mobile device.
Oh, what a shame. This is the other thing. If you want to come on stage, you've got to be on a laptop or a desktop. We can't join from a mobile device. But certainly from my point of view, it's very clear from my point of view, because when you've got lots of things that are jumping up or jumping out at you, I think you have to focus or feel the one that is good, that you're most passionate about. Because there's no point in going around and looking at all the other ideas if you're not passionate about it. It really speaks to what I just said. So what do you think, Brian?
That's a good start, Yvonne. You know, part of our program at Funded is to, right at the beginning of milestone 1, we do put together a founder's vision matrix, because it's really, really difficult to start a business, and it's going to take probably a lot more time than you would anticipate. And in order to get you through the troughs of the motivational dips and the frustrations and the tough days, doing something every day that you really are passionate about and really aligns with your North Star is crucial to you seeing that through. So that's my first view, is just making sure that you do understand the why of what you are doing, and making sure that of all those ideas, which one sits closest. And then the more pragmatic sort of business response would be, we also advocate for a minimum viable company approach, which is an approach where you look to iterate and you know, rotate as quickly as possible through the learning phase of each idea, such that you are able to probably test at least a few of those ideas in a relatively short amount of time, in order to actually get yourself through to, assuming all of them do align with your North Star, making sure that you actually have tested and cycled through the learning phase of, is this actually a good idea for a market out there? Because I've sat on plenty of good ideas that turned out to be not good ideas in the minds of the majority, or certainly of your target market. So the minimum viable company approach is certainly the pragmatic response, but from the start, you've got to throw away the ones that if you can't see yourself working 70-hour weeks for 5 years on that project, I would certainly recommend canning it.
And Philip, would you like to jump in from a profile point of view?
Yeah, of course. I think those are really good points that you brought up, Brian and Yvonne. I think if you take it from the context of personal branding and the concept of trying to build a reputation, it does take a long time to be able to build that. And if you have so many ideas, spreading yourself too thin can prove a bit problematic. But also in the beauty of the social media digital world, content is your vehicle to be able to share ideas to the world, and you can create content around the different ideas you've got. So if you have like 5 ideas, creating multiple pieces of content around your various ideas and putting it out there and seeing how people react to it can kind of give you that that response and data to make a decision on what you want to essentially lean into. Because I think sometimes, as much as I do understand passion is really important and purpose and making sure that what you're doing aligns to your North Star, there has to be a product market founder fit where can actually provide the service to the value, to the quality and value that the end consumer is looking for, and using content as a tester for that, and sharing your knowledge in that sector and seeing if people essentially resonate with that can then be the first step before you actually start the business, to see if essentially people like it and you actually enjoy what you're doing.
Amazing.
So Sydney, do you want to jump in?
Just a small point to add to that, which is pretty much the same thing. I think it's the world's most famous or successful investor, Ray Dalio, in his book Principles, says, in life, you can have anything you want. It's just like a buffet. You can have anything you want, but it's not going to be possible to have everything. And the thinner you spread yourself, the less likely you're going to be able to put the real impetus and energy into achieving the goals with one specific thing. So it's just something to keep in mind.
I think that's an amazing saying, and that dovetails right back to what I began with, because and I think everybody's input dovetails quite nicely. Yes, you've got to be passionate about it. Yes, you have to make sure it's something that you have to make sure it is a viable product. Yes, you do need to test it, and yes, you have to have the right mindset, because if you don't have the right mindset to get things done, none of it is going to happen. So that was really good. Thank you very much. Do we have another question? Do we have anyone who is willing to come on online? Tonya is a consultant. Okay, but she's always interested in hearing anything new and what's happening. Do you know?
It really leads well into the question I wanted to ask all of you, actually, which was, as relates to women in business or women entrepreneurs and women founders, what's the sort of latest developments or trends or things happening in your industry that you'd like to share with this audience? So could we start with our amazing leader, Dr. Yvonne Thompson, please?
Well, for me, I'm always about, my whole career has been around marketing and communications and PR. And to be quite honest, until lockdown, I've always been on the back end of it, doing it for others, pushing others forward. But I've suddenly found myself having to be on camera, I wouldn't say every day, but at least every week, if not 2 or 3 times a week. So for me, it's amazing being able to, do events like this. It's amazing to be on Zoom. We all know all the different platforms that helps you and is useful for you to be able to optimize your time. it's not great when it comes to relationships, like human relationships. So I still think it's really still very important for us to make sure that we meet in person, meet people on one-to-one in person. But for me, the thing that's turned my life, and I'm sure it's done the same for everybody, turned everybody's life around, it's been able to, put on your makeup, do your hair, put on a nice blouse, but you don't have to put shoes and proper trousers. And, I'm still wearing my gym trousers for you who are interested. And no, I'm not going to show you, but it's just transformed everybody's lives. And I think there's no going back. I think today I saw a post about an article in The Guardian that says, I can't remember the percentages, but a huge percentage of people will not be going, and we expected that, will not be going back to full-time work. They will be doing work from home. They'll be doing hybrid, working from home, but also a couple of days in the office. So if that hasn't changed the world platform, COVID changed the world platform, I don't know what else would.
It's a sort of the best of times and the worst of times for women entrepreneurs, because there were more women-owned businesses that started in 2020 than men. And I don't think that that's really changed. But of course, the whole situation has meant much more pressure on women's shoulders. Philip, what about in your industry?
Yeah, I guess kind of touching on what Yvonne said about how everything's now becoming digital now, isn't it? We're spending way more time on camera. People aren't meeting up as much in person as they did pre-COVID. And I think the power of the personal brand and your reputation and digitizing that, an element of that is being very personable and being to an extent vulnerable and showing your true self. That authenticity that may be viewed as a weakness is actually your strength. Talking about balancing being a working mom and an entrepreneur, or trying to create multiple ideas and business ideas while still trying to, maybe work full time. Those challenges that people may want to keep under wraps is actually what people want to see. Being open and vulnerable makes you it makes your story look rough, but that roughness gives people something to hook onto. Because if your story's too polished, people just slide off and they don't connect with you. And I think there's something really powerful in that, is understanding what you may think you don't want to show people is actually what connects people. And that's a big trend that I'm seeing. A lot of female founders, women founders in the last couple of years have really started to build presences online through just showing their authentic story, and that's what I'd highly recommend.
Brilliant. Thank you, Philip. I couldn't agree more. There are so much going on, and actually that brings us to our next speaker, because I liked Brian when I first met him, but then we had a 5-minute conversation about some of his life experiences, and he just got a fan for life. And then I was more open to looking at his business, and I was like, thank God I'm already married, or you might have a problem on your hands. It's that his business model is that good, but the bridge to actually understanding it is what you just talked about, Philip, being more open to someone's business ideas when they share some of themselves with you. Brian, how about in your industry? What are the developments, or just in your space, what are the developments that women entrepreneurs should know about?
Absolutely. So, I think we're all acutely aware of, I think we're heading for a bit more of an economic storm in terms of, higher inflation. I know a lot of the public markets are seeing valuations come off the sort of post-pandemic highs. There was a lot of quantitative easing again through the early pandemic stages, and a lot of that free capital is dried up. It's disappeared. I'm still super pro and super very bullish on the case for the early stage company. And I think specifically for women founders, I don't want to direct the comment at, which is I get asked a fair bit, which is, just how are early stage founders going to fare in a high inflation, weak equity market context, and just where my view is there's so much capital looking for high returns and looking for great founders that my generic comment is I'm still super bullish. We fly as founders, we fly way below the radar of the water level, and whilst that water table may be dropping, there's still a big ocean out there that you can grab a sizable market share, and now is the time to do it. So that's the general view. But I think some of the subtle trends that if you're not part of the sort of startup ecosystem, the startup world, that is really, I really think the time is right for us to not even have to mention the word woman founder or female founder, just founder. And I think we are on the route to doing that, where it's no longer a thing that you are a female founder. I think that will be the full maturity of this industry, and it's still probably a way off. But that for me is where I would like to see, not you come from an African country where I originated from, South Africa. You don't have to label it in order to get credibility. You just stand up in front of somebody and get credibility. And some of the micro trends, which will not be in the public domain, but it's like the rise of the solo GP. Now, solo GP is a single person investment house that raises capital from friendlies, from friends and family, and from a network. And it's essentially the fragmentation that's been happening in the private capital markets that isn't well known and isn't well talked about, really, that it does allow for the tribes that we are all part of to actually gain a voice and to be able to gain access to capital. Because you may, for example, have a woman founder who's exited and who's raised a lot of private, personal wealth from that exit, who now starts a solo GP fund. They've leveraged their network, men, women, and any context. They would have the mandate, even if they don't publicly state it, to go and find women founders or previously disadvantaged founders or from underserved groups. So, it's almost like the newspaper publication industry, whereas 20, 30 years ago, you would have had 5 publications that would have controlled 80% of what people heard and saw through the dailies and the weekenders. We are seeing the same trend, whereas now, Facebook accounts for the vast majority of what people consume from a news perspective, and Twitter, and on and on. We are seeing a similar trend, not maybe quite as dramatic yet, but we are seeing a very similar trend in the private capital space, where there's a significant amount of fragmentation. If you look at crowdfunding, if you look at the solo GP, if you look at things that Angels List are doing with the really smart tools they're producing with roll-up vehicles, the simplest, easiest way to close a micro fund, to be compliant, to make sure that you're only raising from accredited individuals. So there's many, many trends, which obviously I'm not going to be able to unpack, but it's those subtle trends. The takeout is the private capital space has never been more fragmented, which allows you to find your tribe and somebody who's going to be pro, ESG, or they're going to be pro renewables, or they're going to be pro, disadvantaged, or whatever it may be. There's a cause out there, and there's capital that wants to find that cause. And there's never been a better time to find your cause, to be passionate about it, and to go and find that capital. And that's what we do. We help you align it and search for the right capital, because it's equally harder to find it now, but it is there. That's my point.
Well, it sounds like there's a space, or there is a product, or there is somebody looking to match up. There's someone for everyone, or practically. You mentioned GP and you mentioned ESG. Can you just explain what those are for me, please?
Sorry, yeah, thanks, Yvonne. So the general partner is effectively a single investment capital person. So they are a private venture capitalist. They themselves are running, selecting, and investing in early stage companies. And whereas before you would have sort of the big, you can talk about some of the biggest funds, but they would have multiple general partners and a whole host of what they call limited partners who don't get to make investment decisions. But the solo GP is a single person business that gets to make the investment decisions themselves, but are backed by, probably 5 to potentially 50 limited partners. And then ESG is it's been around for quite a while, but it's environment, social, and governance. So it's really just the rise of responsible business investing. The activist investor, I think, generally houses themselves within the ESG space. But it's green investing, it's green business, it's good governance, it's responsible remuneration packages for top execs. It's a whole range of topics. It all gets kind of lumped into ESG, but it really is, doing business for the sake of something other than profit, even though these are almost always pro-profit events or pro-profit.
It's the way to go, isn't it? It's the way forward these days. Sydney, before we answered Susie's question, and hopefully bring Susie on stage, because everybody's been very shy. Usually everyone rushes to get in front of the camera. What's going on? We'll answer Susie's question in a moment, but for everybody who's come online, can you just tell them a little bit about the summit, our offer, and how we're working with Microsoft, or I can explain the Microsoft thing on that's coming up. So, Sydney, over to you.
May I just make a very, very short answer to that question myself? Because everybody had a chance to answer, and I apologise, but really it sort of bounces off what Brian said, because of the sort of wave of negative mental health issues that have sort of become even more intensified because of the summit. We are seeing a huge shift in the sort of mindset optimization world. People who were once saying, I don't meditate, that's hippie-ish stuff, you know, they're becoming much more open to actually being the mechanic of your own system, to actually being proactively a developer of your own brain. So you're looking at things like neuromarketing that's, you know, had a huge impact on marketing and advertising. And people are starting to take bits of those concepts to train themselves. So that was my input, just that people are so much more open now. And what is it that Dr. Wayne Dyer said? He said, you know, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I think women in business are starting to embrace that even much more, although they were always slightly more open than men, perhaps. Okay, so that being said, what we're also really passionate about at Wintrade and all women in business is developing and investing yourself. Developing and investing in your business and also in, you know, your potential for success. And that's what the Foundyou Summit is all about. So we're basically taking 2 half days to bring you a range of 8 sessions, including 6 masterclasses and 2 networking sessions, plus some extra special bonus sessions. And we basically looked at what are the biggest things that women founders need to get right in order to be successful in their business. And then we looked at our network, our global network, and pulled together a range of incredible experts in their fields who are going to come and basically share all of their knowledge in an actionable workshop. So it's not just basically sitting and talking at you or even with you, they're actually giving you actionable steps to put into place to dramatically improve your business performance. And that's from fundraising and attracting investment, that's from networking, that's from mindset, sales and marketing, market research. It literally is a range of really, really important skills that we're going to be giving you training on during that summit, plus the opportunity to network with our members who come from over 33 countries. So it truly is global networking. So we'll put the link in the chat box. Hopefully that's already gone up. Let's just have a quick look. And while I'm doing that, perhaps you could talk about the event.
And what we're doing. Okay. You're cutting out.
I'm so sorry. You're right, Yvonne. So the link is in the chat box. What I also need is for you to pay attention to the coupon code FY for Foundyou 1806 for today. If you use this code, you will get a significant discount on your tickets. So if you buy the basic ticket, you will only be paying £30 rather than the original price of £47. And if you buy the ticket with lifetime recordings, you'll get a discount of £30. And now I'm happy for everyone to share that coupon code with the women founders that you want to support the most and see them succeed. But what I'm going to do, only for the attendance for today, is offer a buy one, get one free ticket price as well. So literally, not only will you get the discount, but you will also get an extra ticket to give someone to give to someone you want to see succeed. So please do check that link out. And Yvonne, over to you with Microsoft.
Okay, so what we're doing for the first, we're doing a big event at the end of September with Microsoft, and we're doing it online and in person. So the first, let's say on this call, we're probably going to do the first dozen people on this call to buy a ticket. For the summit, for the 2-day summit, we will automatically give you a ticket for the event with Microsoft. And what you need to do is let us know whether you want to be there. We're only going to take the first 100 people who register for the summit. Will be able to go to the in-person sessions at Microsoft, and everybody else will be able to join online.
And that's the Microsoft Hub in London.
That's the Microsoft Hub in London. So, there's a huge bonus package here. And the other thing that we didn't say, that there should be a link somewhere, Sid, where everybody online today can download our ebook with about 40 tips on starting your own business, covering everything that each of the speakers will be saying, some tips from each of the speakers. So you can buy a ticket, get a discount on that ticket. Once we've seen you bought that ticket, if you send us an email that says my guest for the summit, then we'll make sure that you get that as well. But the first step is to go ahead, buy your ticket. You'll get a discount on whichever ticket you buy, and you'll also be able to have a +1 on whichever ticket you buy. So we can't do better than that at the moment. So get going, and we'll let you know who. And as I say, the people that register now will be able to get access to the event, early bird access to the event in September. We'll register you for free from now. All right. So,
Yvonne, before you carry on, just to let you know that I don't have the link prepared for the download, for the free download. So what I will do is make sure that directly after this event, we'll make sure that anybody who wants to get that download will be given a link, or we may even just send it to them directly.
Okay. So let's answer Susie's question, and I think there's at least some more comments in the comment box rather than in the question. But Susie wants to know, how do we manage to précis our profiles on LinkedIn? Philip, this question is, and still making ourselves look interesting enough to attract the right clients. Well, the way you do that, Susie, is buy your ticket, buy one, get one free. Join Philip on his session where he will go into directly that at the summit. But in the meantime, Philip, you may be able to give Susie some tips. Obviously, we're not doing the training today. We're not giving everything away today. We're just talking about what you can learn at the session or the summit coming up in next week or 2 weeks' time. Mm-hmm. So over to you, Philip.
Of course, yeah. I'll try and keep it as brief as possible because it is very technical, and I don't want to be taking up everyone else's time. But essentially, having a framework in place to help you make sure you're doing the right activity on your account is what will essentially bring the right attention to your profile. So there's a lot of tips I can give around profile optimization, but essentially making sure your profile is looking like it attracts the people you want, and then of course the content you're putting out there is solving the pain problems and the challenges that your target audience are facing. A combination of that and consistency is essentially what will help you attract the right clients. I hope that kind of answers your question, Susie.
But you can have a one-to-one with Susie when she comes to the summit next week.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll be able, and thereafter, of course, if anybody wants a more handheld type of proposition, again, anybody in this call that is doing under any of the topics that we're working on. We'll be able to do that for you. I see in the chat, Yetunde's asking, is the summit hybrid? Can people also join online? Yes, of course you can. Well, this summit is only online. I'm talking about the summit in September, or the event in September that we're doing with Microsoft. That is hybrid. So you can, Sid, perhaps you can paste the link again. However, Lorraine Gabriel is saying that can we, and we will send the email out, we will send the link out to everybody. You should already have the link, actually. You should already have the link, because we've been emailing everybody at least once a day for the past week, and we will continue to do that. So we will email the link, we'll email everything that you need, but only the people on this call will be able to access the discount. Is that right, Sid?
That's right. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that it's coming up unsafe. Okay, so we'll make sure that we send it to you via, that's unusual because other people have bought already. Antonella saying, I would love to be at the in-person session at Microsoft Hub. Buying my ticket now for the summer. How great. Great, wonderful. Let's have some more of those. Thank you very much, I'm going to get it, Antoinetta, I think. You see, now, if you came online and on camera and told us that, then I could get your name correctly. So yes, it'd be great to see you there. What else? Purchase, that's you, Rosario Giselle, connecting from Dubai. Oh, wonderful. Great to see you, Gisela. I hope you can connect with us for the summit from Dubai and bring some more of your fantastic network from Dubai. Okay, Glenna has raised her.
I was just going to say, Glenna would like to come up. So let's give her the mic.
Everyone's been very shy. I don't know why. I'm going to get short.
Hear you, Glenna.
There she is.
Is this a format you can hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
You know, sometimes you can't. I have a question for everyone. You know, frequently you get in conversations about business, or women in business in particular, there gets to be a bit of gender warfare about how the guys do it or how the gals do it, whatever. And I'm a big believer that we should be looking for excellence and for good practices wherever we find them. And I think that there are some things that women in business could learn from men in business. So I'm wondering from each one of you, since I can only imagine you've had the opportunity to work with both men and with women, is there something that you see the men doing that you work with that you think is particularly effective if women were to learn that skill? So what is it that they are doing that we need to know more about as women, and then consider whether it's right for us or not? Of course, it may or may not be. But I'm just wondering your perspective on that.
May I give you a really, really short answer on that first, if I may? Yeah. So first of all, hello, Glenna. Great question. Great question. So the one thing that I think women could learn to do better is fail. And by that, I mean fail forward. I think sometimes we are absolutely terrified of getting things wrong, particularly if we're the only woman in the room. And that has a negative impact because it's through failing that we actually develop, learn, and grow. In fact, you have to embrace failure if you want to be an entrepreneur. What is it Elon Musk says? Being an entrepreneur is like chewing on broken glass while staring into the abyss. And if you are afraid of failure, that's going to stop you from taking risks that you need to take in order to develop, grow, and capitalize on chances. So I'll hand it over to Brian now.
Yeah, it's a good segue. I mean, that my initial snapshot response to that, Glenna, was really, I mean, I always appreciate the diversity in the room when it is there, because I think the thing that we can learn is from each other, not necessarily from the one side. I really love a diverse conversation, but I think because of the way it has been, it's just that sense of confidence that, and that segues to what Sid said, is, you know, the confidence to fail and the confidence to not have to doubt yourself that you are a female founder. You're just a founder, and founders fail a lot. And I think that's sort of the, you know, to not have to put yourself into any kind of different category, just founders fail, whatever creed or race you come from, or whatever gender, and own that, and own the journey. And that's why we also advocate for that minimum viable company, which is the iterative, let's say, fast learning approach. It doesn't always have to be a failure. You generally are pivoting your idea from one, you know, lily pad to the next as you jump across a very, very deep pond. So I think it's that sense of confidence just to own your imposter syndrome, and just to own the fact that you probably will fail, because the stats tell you that, but never have that doubt. Because the best founders of any gender ignore the doubt.
But I think that I think we're so focused, or we have to be a bit more focused on women, because again, as you said, you know, it's all about, you know, what's the saying? The statistics and damn lies, or whatever it is, that old fashioned saying is. It can tell you what you want it to tell you. And right now, a lot of it is telling us that there aren't enough female founders in small business. And yes, I think we can learn from men, but we don't necessarily want to learn, or do we? I don't know. I was going to say, we don't necessarily want to learn from men who have failed, but maybe we can learn from them so we don't make the same mistakes. So yes, yes.
And maybe we can teach them, you know, as well. So that balances everything out and means that we all have the best of all worlds.
Now, Brian, we're not going to Philip, we're not going to let you get away with being quiet, because you've worked on both sides of the coin, haven't you? I think you've been a founder as well. Well, you are a founder now, but you've been on the corporate side.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's really important to say that diversity of thought and a diverse group within the business is statistically proven to be a more profitable and successful business. And that kind of goes into my thoughts of women founders can definitely adopt what I call the CIA of male founders, which is the confidence, intelligence, and assertiveness, and leaning into the confidence to, like everyone said, fail and learn from those failures to do better next time, but also the confidence to be yourself and be your true authentic self and put that out there, and the belief that your story is unique and that uniqueness is enough to be able to attract your target audience. You don't need to come up with some mystical, formula to be able to succeed. So confidence and then the intelligence of being able to put to take the time to really understand your business and the industry you're in, and how you can provide a unique proposition that no one else can, and of course assertiveness to be consistent and putting yourself out there with the business and the way you approach yourself. So CIA would be what I'd say.